When I was drugged, tied up, put in a shipping container, taken to Los Angeles and forced at gunpoint to appear on America's Got Talent, they categorised me as a danger act, which I'm really not. Okay, sometimes I am, but the thing is, I do a lot of different kinds of stuff. The only real running theme in my work is that I try to show audiences things that are entertaining, that they haven't seen before, and sometimes these things are silly or clever or funny or cool or... yeah, okay, sometimes it is fun to make them shift a little uneasily in their seats and do something risky. Anyway, I've been doing this stupid job for more than 30 years, so today I thought it might be fun to take a look back at the most dangerous things I've ever done, including that one trick that I will never do again. Ever seen a juggler catch a ball on the back of their neck? It's a classic old juggling move, and I do it in my current one-man show, except I do it with a 15-pound bowling ball. Now, this one's got some history to it. This was one of the signature tricks of Paula DeLuca from the vaudeville double act The DeLuca Sisters. And in 1936, on stage, she misjudged the catch. The bowling ball hit her head on the way down, and 3 days later, at just 22 years old, she was dead. And for me, the saddest thing about that whole story is that the only information I could find about her or her sister was that she died attempting that trick. Nothing about their act, their career, what her sister did afterwards. That seemed like a shame to me. So I like telling her story in my show, showing her picture, dedicating the trick to her. Oh, and if you want to see me do it live, then head on over to mattricardo.com/live and come and see my show. I really like finding things that aren't traditionally thought of as circus, but kinda secretly are, if that makes sense. And everyone knows this stupid game, and as it relies on high-level manual dexterity, I figured it was right up my street. But of course, I had to up the ante and give it my own little twist, so yeah, Blindfold. I did this in a show recently, and afterwards an audience member asked me what the secret was. And I told him the answer, which is the same answer to all the tricks I do. I just learned to do it. He looked at me like I said I was married to a sandwich. I think he wanted it to not be real, but the most fun stuff on stage almost always is. This trick also got me one of my favourite heckles. I had the tape over my eyes, I was just about to start stabbing, the room was silent, and then one lone voice from the back of the auditorium yelled, "You don't have to do this!" Oh, and when I did this on Italian TV, one of the hosts, Maria De Filippi, decided she wanted to give it a try. This was completely unplanned. Nobody knew it was going to happen. I just went with it. That is a cool, brave lady. Now, just before we get to the trick that I will never do again, let's take a little detour into the land of things that weren't supposed to be as dangerous as they ended up being. Back in the late 1980s, I was in a street performing double act, and we ended the show by juggling flaming torches together. And I had this idea for a gag. I thought, when I was lighting the torches, I'd bend over to shield myself from the wind, and I'd accidentally set fire to the end of my tie instead of the torches. Good clown stuff, right? So I bought a few cheap ties to try it out, dipped the end of the tie in a little bit of fuel, and we tried the gag out in front of a crowd. And it worked great. I really enjoyed pretending not to notice that the tie was on fire, while my double act partner tried to sort of furiously let me know. But I hadn't thought about what to do next. So, while the end of the tie was still on fire, I carefully loosened the tie and slipped it off my head. And then, to put it out, I kind of whipped it in the air, which was a stupid thing to do because it was a cheap tie. Plasticky, man-made fibres, so instead of the fire going out, it just exploded into a million little flaming melty bits of plastic tie that all blew into my face. I was very lucky that none of them went into my eyes, but why was my double act partner still pointing and yelling at me? One large bit of Melty Tie had landed square on the end of my nose and had attached itself there. The tip of my nose was on fire, with a large visible flame just sitting there burning. It must have looked insane. I screamed and ran into the nearby public bathrooms to wash it off. But even now, I still think that is a strong gag, even if the execution may have been slightly lacking. I was in Malta. I'd taken a group of performers over there to do a run of big circus shows to celebrate Maltese Independence Day. It was one of the first big, lovely gigs that I'd been in charge of. On the last night of the run, instead of being in our usual big circus tent, we'd been asked to do it outside in a piazza. It was beautiful. A hot summer night, 1,000 people. We juggled amongst them. We hung a trapeze from a tree, rode unicycles in the dusty town square, lit up by spotlights. The crowd drank cold beer and ate warm pastizzis and oohed and ahed our tricks. It was fantastic. Now, back then, I'd occasionally do the old human fly stunt, climbing up the side of a building. I did it in a kind of clowny slapstick way, almost falling off and all that kind of stuff. And on one side of the square was a big old building with nice pronounced brickwork, which made climbing easy. So spotlights swung over to light me, and up I went. I got to the bottom of the 3rd story, grabbed at the top of a line of bricks, and it just crumbled. Completely came away in my hand, and suddenly I was falling. And somehow, and I will never understand how this happened, I landed astride the ground floor windowsill, one leg inside through the open window and the other leg hanging outside. So I landed squarely. Yeah. Anyway, the adrenaline was pumping and somehow I wasn't dead, so I kept playing it up. I slipped back to the ground, stole a customer's drink and necked it to a cheer, and then went back to my dressing room. And after a while, the other performers came rushing in to see if I was okay. The audience didn't know if my fall was part of the show or not, but my colleagues knew that it wasn't. I felt fine. I proved it to them by tap dancing. It was only after I got back home to England that, since breathing seemed to hurt, I went to the doctor, who told me I'd snapped a couple of ribs. But again, I stand by the gag. It got a good reaction. Oh, also, I once got electrocuted in front of a crowd and got thrown 20 feet across the stage, and everyone thought it was a joke. It is really pretty impressive that I'm still alive. Anyway, back to the things that were supposed to be dangerous. Okay, so here's the really scary one, at least for me. I did it for a couple of years and I will not ever do it again. I was planning a new show and I wanted a piece of dangerous juggling in it, but I was having problems getting inspired. Every dangerous juggling trick was either overdone or not really dangerous, or usually both. I wanted something that would be, to an audience, undeniably real. I wanted them to see me gamble my safety by betting on my skill. Usually in show business, danger is just the illusion of danger, but I wanted the real thing. But I was coming up short with what that would look like. And then I saw this advert.
Cut all that with a regular knife? Not on your life. Electric knives are a little faster, but you're stuck to the wall. And there's nothing nice about an ugly slice. Yuck! What you need is the one-touch cordless knife, the turbocharged kitchen tool with over 2,000 blade strokes per minute.
And I knew that was it. My version of the tired old chainsaw juggling bit. But these knives weren't big, slow-moving, noisy, probably not really dangerous chainsaws. These were the scalpel equivalent. Small, fast-moving, with a dentist drill buzz and blades that would slice anything they even brushed up against. I bought a bunch and I started practicing with them. They were horrible to juggle. I even had to get my science genius friend Helen Arney to come and explain to me why.
In my professional opinion, I think you're an idiot.
Okay, thank you.
Idiot.
Right.
In my personal opinion, I think you're also an idiot.
But eventually, after many months of practice and gut checking, I learned it. I did that routine 2 years running at the Edinburgh Fringe and at one run of the Adelaide Fringe, and then every date of the accompanying UK tour, and I was grateful every time I got to the other side of it. Did I cut myself? Yeah, more than once. Usually while packing them away or setting them up, but once I accidentally sent one bouncing blade first off my chest. If I hadn't been wearing heavy tweed, that would have been a problem. My life may well have been saved by a three-piece suit. When I put that show to bed, I put those props away too. I'd done what I wanted to. Time to move on with all my fingers intact. Thanks for watching this, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then subscribing to this channel, sharing the video, clicking like and leaving a comment, all really help small creators like me reach more people, so thanks in advance for doing that. And if you want to come and see me live on stage doing some maybe dangerous tricks, then I'm going to the Edinburgh Fringe this year and doing a few dates around the country and in London, so visit mattricardo.com/live and hopefully I will see you in an audience soon. All of my videos are helped enormously by my supporters over on Patreon, so I'd like to say a big thanks to all of them for that. There's a link to that in the description too if you're interested in joining them. Thanks again, see you next time.